The over-under of me getting cut off is 3. Anyway, back to this beat video supplemental document. I've listed 6 different angles. I just sat down and thought of, what are the things that I think about when I think of the drinking culture at Miami. You only need 3, but here are 6 possible ones that you could talk to with your editor to see which ones are the most viable. Number 1, binge drinking. 2, academic struggles due to drinking. 3 would be how Miami is tackling the drinking problem. Number 4 would be underage drinking. 5, the health risks due to drinking, and then 6, Greek organizations and their relationship to the drinking culture at Miami. So those are 6 different angles. I need only 3, but that's the S part of Soapstone right there, choosing a beat and then finding some angles associated with the beat. Next part is determining the observations. So that's the occasions. That's the O part of Soapstone. So could you match an observation to each of those 6 story angles? My bet is you would be better at doing this than I would. In many cases, maybe the angle that the beat and the angles that you're thinking about, I'm not the best source necessarily to talk to determine what beat you're going to do and the angles that are associated with it. But I certainly should be a part of that conversation. Anyway, if I should be thinking then about these different angles and where could I go to observe them? How feasible would it be for me to cover binge drinking, for instance, if that's one of my angles? Or number 3, if how Miami is tackling the drinking problem. Can I think of places where at times and places to go to cover that? If you look under the Determine Possible Observations headline there on your Beat Video supplemental document, it says that these observations don't have to be official events. So if you're covering the Farmer School of Business, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to go to a 7 p.m. lecture of somebody that that FSB has brought in. You could very well just observe a class in FSB, or you could observe, I assume they have a lobby in that building. I haven't been in that building, so I assume they have a lobby. I assume it's made out of gold. I assume people are there to feed you grapes and wine and other victuals that you need. But if that goes well with what you're trying to observe, then that's perfect. Think of the Joseph Barrera story. The author described the grease trap exploding. It wasn't an official KFC corporate event. That's just something that you observe that helps readers see, in this case, one of the not so much fun things about working in fast food at that level. Okay, so let's say, and I'm going back to the document here, let's say I choose 3 story angles from that list of 6 that I got, and I'm going to go with binge drinking, because I'm sure I can capture binge drinking at some point on this campus. So that seems like it's a pretty good one to choose. Number 2, and it's a big issue with drinking. Number 2, academic struggles due to drinking. That's definitely a thing. I also think I can find stats on both of those pretty easily, both national and local statistics that can help bolster that this is a thing. This is relevant and worth reading about. And then the third one is how Miami is tackling the drinking problem. And I know that Miami has several programs. I know Miami has some educational things it does to try to stem the tide of the drinking problem. So those are my 3. I feel like I'm pretty confident that I can find events, right? The next thing I do after those 3 is I would talk to people about the best times and places to observe each story angle. So the first people I'd talk to would be you. I'd say, so I assume you know that there's binge drinking going on campus, and where should I go do it? And not do it. You got me. Where should I go? Where should I go observe it? And you would probably say in the fall, right now, beat the clock would be a good time and place to see that. I'm betting if this were the spring semester, the absolute best event to observe binge drinking, right? You would know that one. I know that one too. So beat the clock. All right, so I got that. Now I need to determine speakers. I've got my occasion part of Soapstone. I know my purpose is to go and observe the binge drinking. Now that the second S of Soapstone is speakers. Who are the people that I need to talk to at that event? So I ask in this document, what type of people would I talk to? Of course, somebody who loves Beat the Clock, can't wait to show up. Maybe it's a group of folks who, I think how this works is as the hour changes from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock or whatever, do the prices go up for pitchers or something? I don't know. I swear I don't know. But I think that's how it works. And so I would talk to, find a group maybe of folks who are really having a good time. Now, I wouldn't necessarily interview them then. And journalistically, ethically, it may not be the best time to interview someone when they're about 3 pitchers deep. But what I could do is say, hey, I'm writing a story about beat the clock and drinking on campus and everything. Do you think I could talk with you about this at some point? And I would imagine they'd say, sure, why not? Or maybe they would say no. If they say no, you find somebody who says yes, you get their name and phone number, and then you do an interview sometime later. Same thing if you think about who else you could talk to. I asked that question, who else could enlighten readers about Miami's drinking culture? How about a bartender? How about a non-drinker and who has found other things to do? So these, you're looking for different types of folks who can shed light on the topic. And I wrote for this final thing here at the end of main step number 1 that you won't necessarily interview people when you go observe. It just might not be the right time. I wouldn't interview the bartender while the bartender is working. I don't think management would like that very much, but maybe you can get that bartender's name and contact information and do the interview at some other time. Okay, main step number 2. Let's go back to the Beat project assignment, which is this overall, the document that gives you the overall steps. Number 2 says to research your beat. You need to research the beat's history, the national trends, local trends, costs, demographics, locations of building, all the things that make that will give you the feeling that you're the expert. You know way more about your topic than readers do, and you better know more about your topic than I do. This is where you need to talk with me and talk with